Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start out as we do by saying to Iceman Jason, Javier Fitzmcshane, El Jefe, El Devil No Morte, to the guys of the Weather Report, to Billy G, to Walt from the V-Raw Podcast, to Kate the Duchess of New Jersey, to George Fontes of the World of Blaze Podcast, and to Boomer Bob. I got him out of order there. Sorry guys, I'm kind of in a rush here. I apologize for launching late to the nobody that's actually in the streams at the moment. But anyway, yeah, things ran late at work. It's going to be another one of those crazy weeks where I'm going to have to be doing things all week that is going to directly impact me and the fact that I have to get up at like 4 o'clock in the frickin' morning. Get some extra lights here. Yeah, so this is probably going to be a shorter episode because if I want to get any sleep at all tonight, it's going to have to happen relatively soon. But anyway, there's a few things going on in the world today. As always, there's always something to talk about. There's always thoughts that I have. There's always things going on. One thing I do want to mention is that we are going to be going into the case of I'm going to be once theoretically this week should be the last like messing with the routine week for a while. And once that's said and done, I am going to be starting to kick back up the guest episode spots. Let's see, we've got Lorenzo of Misanthrope Radio in the chat. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Derailed my own conversation, or my own thoughts now. Anyway, it's going to be happening. It's going to be a case of I am going to be going back to getting more guest episodes. More people are going to be welcome and invited on the show. And I like to think that's a good thing. I mean, you guys are always pretty positive about the guest episodes. I get a lot of good feedback from you guys. So yeah, that's going to be happening. I got a couple volunteers, friends of the show, for other podcasters, people who have been on the show previously. Got some interesting ones on the backside from people that have no history with me whatsoever. A couple politicians, oddly, it's almost entirely the people that have been reaching out to me recently are almost entirely politically affiliated. So I must be on a list somewhere. I don't know. But, it's kind of freaking inevitable that happens when you're somebody like me that says things the kind of stuff I say. Surprisingly, got a couple of new subscribers on the YouTube channel since I've started, doing these live streams and posting everything to YouTube, which I find very interesting. I mean, it's not like I'm getting a ton of traffic, a ton of plays, and I'm nowhere near like the monetization levels, but I always figured I'm the kind of person that YouTube's going to actively be doing things to, whether it's demonetize or do things in a case of, limiting reach, I don't see myself as being somebody that's going to be getting put out there a lot. Because I say a lot of things that, as a general rule, are the big no-nos that you're not supposed to say on YouTube as a platform. I don't self-censor. I don't say the things that you're not allowed to say. I don't say unalived. I don't say pew pew. If I want to talk about having a gun, I talk about having a gun, and the algorithm's going to limit my reach on that. But I'm not going to do it because it's fucking dumb. At the end of the day, that's how I feel about it. It's fucking dumb. So, So got a few new viewers there. So welcome. Hope you hang around. Hope you like what you hear. Let's see what else. Unfortunately, my housekeeping notes are very haphazard today because there is no real housekeeping. And the stuff that was going on, I knew this week was going to be a mess. Unfortunately, didn't do a real good job of writing down notes and planning for it. It's just my process. A lot of the stuff's off the cuff. A lot of the shit is very much just me ranting and raving and doing my own fucking thing as we go. So, apologize for the slightly disorganized approach at the moment. And, hopefully I get better at these things as time goes on. We'll see. Remains to be seen. Anyway, biggest thing at my... Man, I'm saying and ah a lot. I'm doing a lot of those vocal fry things that they tell you you're not supposed to do if you're a podcaster. But it is what it is. What can you do? Lost my train of thought now. Earlier on this morning, I managed to hop on the Weathered View, which I've talked about in the past. I'm always saying people should be, listening to that show, watching that show, whatever. You can't really watch it. I mean, it's an X space. It's audio only. There's nothing to watch, but there's always some good talk. Got to go on there and rant and rave a little bit, and it's pretty much a foregone thing at this point. The primary topic of conversation is still Charlie Kirk getting shot. I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only one who's talking about it. I'm not the only one who's thinking about it. I have once again managed to anger the leftists, which should come as precisely zero surprise to anybody who's listened to me for more than 5 seconds. Because, again, kind of the same reason that YouTube won't monetize me, the same reason that I won't be surprised when I'm not, when I'm not getting a lot of organic channel growth or any of the other nonsense, that, I can hear John Domingo pulling his hair out when I say things like that, because he's like, well, if you do this and you do that, your show will grow, jackass. And I know he's right. That's the real bitch of it. As much as it pains me to admit it, John Domingo is correct. I could do a lot of things to actually put effort in and grow the show. And if you're not listening to Boomer Bunker or any of John's other little projects, you're missing out there. I'm just gonna blow a little smoke here to make John, I respect the guy. It's definitely a case of, hey, Grim's in the chat. Hey, how's it going, buddy? So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So this morning I managed to anger the leftists because I made a comment about how the right has. Now I've talked about this in the past, how the right is going to start engaging in the same tactics as the left has been, prevalently using. Things like cancel culture, which everybody knows I'm not a huge fan of in general. It's I don't like the way it's applied to things, primarily because it's always been done with malicious intent. But in the case of the Charlie Kirk shooting, I have a slightly different stance on things because a website has been set up by, right-leaning individuals, Charlie Kirk fans, to to amass a list of leftist individuals who are making social media posts celebrating the fact that he got assassinated. Now, I don't feel like that's cancel culture. That's accountability, because they're not going out trying to end your livelihood for doing something like holding an opinion they don't like, or being of a faith or a denomination they don't care for, or saying something absolutely obscenely ridiculous like cutting your dick off doesn't make you a chick, it just makes you a fucking eunuch. The really rational things that the left gets mad and cancels people about. And somebody made a comment about how, it's basically what about freedom of speech? People have the right to say what they want and blah, 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 blah. And I made my stance very clear multiple times over the course of this show. I 110% believe in freedom of speech. You should be able to say whatever is on your mind, regardless of how fucking repugnant, how morally bereft, how fucking absolutely shitty it is to another human being. That doesn't mean you're entitled to any sort of freedom of consequence. You're not entitled to a lack of accountability. The First Amendment is not a shield that says you can be whatever miserable fucking sack of shit you want and no one will ever hold you to task for what comes out of your fucking cockhole. What it says is the government cannot legally stop you from saying something. And there's, we've added caveats to that over the years. You can't scream fire in a crowded theater. Well, I mean, you can, but you're going to go to fucking jail if you incite panic and terror. And there are certain other things that you can't say legally, like you can't legally tell someone you're going to fucking kill them. You cannot threaten someone's life. That's illegal. You cannot. Now, you can say, I'm happy you're dead. You can say, I wish you died. You can say, I wish all of you motherfuckers died. None of that's illegal. As long as you're not in a position where it can be construed as an active threat where you're in if you say that while you're walking around with a fucking machete, yeah, that could be construed as threatening because its context matters too. But at the end of the day, I can say I wish everybody that thought X, Y, and Z would just fucking go tits up tomorrow. You're allowed to say things like that. That doesn't mean people can't go and say, hey, you know what? This is shitty. I don't agree with what you're saying. I think you're being a miserable cunt. And then, try and bring some consequences to the table. Now, like I said, I'm not a fan of cancel culture in general for stupid shit. When it comes down to a matter of disagreement, when it comes down to a matter of saying, I don't like what you think. I don't like what you stand for. I don't like what you believe in. Yeah, no, I don't think you should be able to go out and, like I said, it's been primarily a tactic of the left, although every leftist fuck out there right now is real quick to scream about how this is being done and it's not fair. They have freedom of speech. Again, they keep coming back to that freedom of speech. I have freedom of speech. You also have accountability. That's part of the things that goes with having freedom is you're responsible, which is what the left in particular, but extreme rightists are just, they're guilty of this too. But primarily, particularly young extreme leftists, have a massive problem taking responsibility for fucking anything. And it's encouraged by their leadership. It's encouraged by the geriatric fuck stains. But yeah, so you have this bunch of people that are out there literally celebrating that Charlie Kirk got shot in the fucking neck. It's retarded. They didn't like what he was saying because he was giving them a platform to state their beliefs and then punching holes in them with logic, facts, and without a massive uptick of emotion. And I talked about this I guess it's technically last week, but in the last stream that I had to hop on because I just couldn't bottle it up anymore, that I was not a fan of Charlie's. I respected the guy's approach. I respected the fact that he would talk to anybody respectfully, debate, and calmly and peacefully. He's a better human being than I am because I wouldn't be able to take the way some of those assholes screamed in his face and talked over him. I would just show them who's actually got more volume behind him. And that's a shortcoming in my character and my personality, I suppose. But at the end of the day, even though I wasn't a big fan of his, and in particular, when it came to his, like I said, I'm not a religious man myself, but the fact that it made up a huge portion of his life, that's fine. I appreciated his take on we needed to get back to traditional values, family values, having actual, nuclear family concepts, mom, dad, kids. It's not a bad thing. And the fact that people are trying to demonize and villainize that part of what he stood for to say he's sexist and all this other horse shit. And, the people that are out there screaming about how he's a racist and a bigot and all the other nonsense that has literally been painted for them by taking shit he says out of context, or the media in general, plus all the yammering, flapping political talking heads that want to try and paint him as a villain for endorsing a traditional life and a traditional lifestyle based in common sense and moral values. And he never once screamed over somebody. He never once raised his voice and tried to shout somebody down. He would calmly and peacefully say, okay, well, thank you for your opinion and don't forget to vote. He'd always tell people to vote, which that was kind of his whole thing. Even the people he didn't fucking agree with, the people who he should actively be saying, don't vote because I don't agree with your policies and I don't want your vote canceling in mine, if he were a lesser person. But he wasn't. He's be part of the process, get involved, do your bit. And, like I said, I'm not a huge fan, but I can respect the guy. So then you've got all these generally evil motherfuckers. Hey, Devlin's in the chat too. Hey, bud. Who are going out there and actively celebrating that he got shot. Like it was some sort of W for them. And, literally recording videos of themselves dancing and cheering and hopping around and celebrating. And then, some people decide, hey, that's not okay. Let's see how your boss feels about you celebrating somebody that got shot. You don't have to fucking agree with the guy, but celebrating that he got killed because you don't like his stance on things is a pretty shit take. And we're going to see how your employers feel about that. And they started getting people fired. Now, I have a slightly different take on this because I kind of called this a little while back that when the right started leaning into the cancel culture aspect of things, it was going to be a fucking wrecking ball and they were going to way overdo it. I was fine with people that are out there doing this horrific shit, having their lives fucked up a little bit, because to my way of thinking, if you're celebrating that somebody you didn't agree with got killed, you're saying that is an acceptable response for someone holding a belief or a value you don't share. I don't personally share the value of dancing on somebody's fucking grave, whether I liked them or not. And I said as much. Now, by my way of thinking, and this is where I've had disagreements with some of my other people I've talked with about the matter, when you say that's okay, losing your fucking job in response to something you said publicly is way less of an impact than being fucking killed. So I don't feel any sympathy for these people that they're losing their, 20-hour-a-week barista job that allows them to dye their hair purple and make TikToks to try and pretend like they're some way, shape, or form socially fucking relevant, even though they're really just confused, bottom-feeding dregs who believe whatever their fucking masters tell them and have no critical thinking skills and somehow think they're empowered by making themselves into just the most shitty, miserable human beings on the fucking planet. And rather than admitting their belief structure might be flawed, it's just everybody else in the world's fucking problem because, once again, they have a problem with accountability and responsibility. They don't want it. It's a bad thing. It's unfair. They fucking suck as human beings. It's like my, pre-cum theory that I had about how, leftists are born because they are from either pre-cum or from that little bit of sperm that kind of runs down the crack of somebody's ass, and one gets in there because it didn't have to swim as hard because it's missing genetic material. So you're actually a deficient human being if you lean real heavily into this shit. And of course, saying anything to that effect, like calling out somebody who said it's a list just targeting anybody who has anything negative to say about Charlie Kirk, when that was not the original founding purpose behind the list. Hey, Duchess is here. Hi, Duchess. It's nice to see you, Kate. You guys couldn't run 20 minutes late for me, so I had time to get home tonight, huh? But anyway, I digress. The point being, so it didn't start out as a list of just anybody who says anything bad about Charlie Kirk is going to go on this list and get fired. Predictably enough, kind of evolved into that. But, I did the bad thing and pointed out, oh, no, it started to have these people that are fucking celebrating his death be held to account. And if you're defending that, you're a piece of shit, too. It's not freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is say what you want, but it also means you bear the fucking consequences of it. Freedom of speech is not some blanket shield that allows you to be a miserable sack of shit. So that was, the long and the short. I don't remember even the exact phrasing on the post now because honestly, I don't fucking care. I haven't looked at it that fucking closely. So it's been a while. I muted it because I was getting a bunch of, oh my God, you're a MAGA thing. And I even responded to a few of the people like, it's retarded that people automatically assume because I'm criticizing something you believe in, I must be a fucking maggot, or which I don't know. They think that's so clever. We put a T on the end of MAGA and now it's maggot. Fucking low IQ fucking humor if I've ever heard it. But they, you maggots are all the same. You think you're so, and it's like, okay, first off, you stupid cunt. I'm not a MAGA person. I'm really not. I'm just as quick to call out extreme rightists for being shitty human beings as I am the other assholes. But it's very telling that they lack the critical thinking ability to realize just because I think you're a piece of shit doesn't mean I think the sun shines out of the golden god either, you dumb fuck. And I said that to multiple people that made comments on my post. I'm like, no, I'm not a MAGA person. I think you're fucking disgusting if you behave this way. I don't care what side of the thing you're on. And then that, throws them off because they don't have the critical thinking to be forearmed for that sort of statement. So all of a sudden it's like, well, your side was celebrating when somebody got murdered by the cops, or no, your side was silent for the politician that got killed by a right winger in Minnesota last month. And it's like, okay, first off, you're citing easily disproven things. Like, you're right. I didn't, say anything about people celebrating the death of George Floyd. Oh, wait, no, that's because nobody celebrated it. Nobody was out there doing TikTok videos, dancing, saying, yay, the junkie's dead. Because George Floyd was literally a nobody until he fucking OD'd in police custody. There was nobody that had that visceral hatred that is apparently endemic to the left of anybody who disagrees with me is evil and must be destroyed, and we're going to celebrate their deaths because that will somehow make our shitty, meaningless, empty lives somehow valid or better. Hey there, Everstone. Nice to see you. Lovely. Thank you for joining the chat today. Always a pleasure. Now I've derailed my fucking thoughts again. See, this is one of the problems with being a screaming, ranting head that has no script and has a live chat open now. I get distracted real easily. But yeah, so anyway, fucktards are all talking to me saying that I must be a MAGA, and I went through and debunked and debated with a few of the idiots, and then, and it was always ad hominem fucking arguments out of the left, which is something they're just notoriously bad at. They're like, well, yeah, but what about this? And no, well, what about the right cancel cultured first because they said the Dixie Chicks and Coca-Cola and Harley Davidson and da 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 da. And it's these again ad hominem arguments because it's not the same things. It's comparing apples and fucking tomatoes. The only thing they have in common is they can both be fucking red. Beyond that, I guess technically they're both fruit too, but nobody ever thinks tomato fruit. But again, technically it's a fruit. Yes, I know that because there's going to be some pompous ass that decides to chirp up with, well, tomatoes are fruit, Aaron. And yeah, I'm fucking well aware. Point being, one is sweet, one is savory, and go fuck your mother if you want to nitpick at that particular thing. Yeah, wow, I really got deranged over the fucking apples and fruit. But yeah, the ad hominem argument of people saying, well, what about this happen? What about that happen? The difference is, and I always responded with the same thing. Your side wanted to ruin a person's entire business, like for not wanting to bake a cake because the people that the cake was for, their lifestyle violated this person's individual beliefs. Launched a national fucking smear campaign to shut down a mom and pop bakery that didn't want to make the gay cake. Now, the difference is this, and this is what I tried to explain. Yes, Lorenzo Hominy. Actually, fuck, why'd you say that? Now I want grits. So the cake. So the difference between right-wing canceling prior to recent events and the things that the leftists or the one particular individual was trying to point out, like, oh, well, you guys are guilty of it too. There's a difference. The right-wing approach with the Dixie Chicks or Harley Davidson or Coca-Cola or BMW or Jaguar or any other brand that did something and received pushback from the right, it was not a case of coordinated campaigns to tell them to go fuck themselves. It was not a case of actively trying to destroy small independent businesses in the name of some ideal that was not shared. It was a case of, like with the Dixie Chicks, they said something against the war in the Middle East, which alienated a huge rah-rah American patriotic base that is generally the kind of motherfuckers that listen to country music. If you say something that you know is not going to sit real well with your audience, you can't bitch or be surprised when all of a sudden your ticket sales tank, when you can't fill stadium, you go from filling stadiums to not being able to fill Shecky's Roadhouse on the side of Route 6. It's because you fucked up. It's not a coordinated plot to destroy you for the opinions and beliefs you hold. It's you said something that alienated your base. Same thing with everything up to, Bud Light, Coca-Cola, Harley Davidson. Harley went all woke and said, hey, you know what? We're going to try and pander to a market that traditionally does not buy our product at the expense of our traditional customer base. And it bit him in the fucking ass. Same thing with Coca-Cola. Same thing with BMW. Same thing with Jaguar. Jaguar's basically a dead brand at this point. Since their rebranding launch or whatever the fuck it was last year, they sold 65 fucking cars last year. Now, when you're selling a $140,000 car, I suppose the margin's a little better on it, but they did not sell nearly like they used to. Apparently, instead of focusing on designing cool fucking cars, putting out a car commercial that says nothing about a vehicle didn't turn out to be a really good marketing strategy for them. So when you're pointing out that, right-wing people do cancel all the time, they don't shop at businesses that don't support their ideals. Yeah, that's how commerce fucking works. You don't have an obligation to give your money to anyone, much less people who don't share your beliefs, values, or ideals. The difference is nobody said, hey, we're not shopping at these stores anymore because they believe X, Y, and Z. The closest thing I've seen of a very conservative approach towards we're not shopping there is a massive pushback by the Second Amendment community saying if you've got a no guns allowed sign on your door, I'm not shopping in your fucking store. And that's not really a coordinated thing. That's more I'm going to carry my gun whether you want me to or not, and tough shit for you. It's not a case of saying it's this big coordinated effort to destroy these companies. It's a You don't share my values, you're not getting my fucking money. I have alternatives that don't share that belief or that ideal or that whatever. Also, just as a note, most of those stores don't change the batteries on their window stickers very often because they've never once stopped me from carrying a gun through the door. Just hypothetically, theoretically, all said in jest, it's a joke because I live in the state of Illinois and they will arrest you for violating the sticker. Okay, Duchess brings up a valid point in the chat. If you want to be part of the chat, go to YouTube, jump in the live stream, or go to the X live stream feed, and you can make comments, and I will see them, and I will respond to them most of the time. I didn't do much paying attention to the comments in the last episode because I was on a fucking tear. Yeah, there was a massive pushback against Target, and again, that's where I'm talking about where the up until more recent actions. Bud Light, same thing. It was a more coordinated pushback and a more lined up sort of active, like everybody's saying, you know what, this is fucking stupid. We're not supporting your thing. Yeah, but that's a more recent thing. Target, Bud Light, even Jaguar is a more recent one. But again, these are the ad hominem arguments I'm dealing with people trying to tell me I'm wrong and I'm such a bigot and I must be a horrible human being because I think celebrating somebody you don't like getting popped is fucking equivalent to being pond scum. You are a subhuman individual at that point in my book, and you can pound sand until your fucking lube gets all crusty and burns your fucking little wee-wee. So, shit, I did it again. I completely derailed where I was going with this. Yeah, so leftist wackadoos complaining because Aaron said things they don't like. It's it is what it is. Getting distracted by stop that video there because I don't need to look at Cody's armpit. Hi, Cody. So anyway, yes, I have multiple windows open and I'm easily distracted. We've had this conversation. I lost my train of thought. No, neener. Fuck a doodle. Anyway, yeah, so, but the other thing that's been going on with this, and again, I'm going to, basically, in case you haven't noticed, this has started to turn into the Boomer Bunker after show since I decided to start doing these live streams because I listen to that right before I sit down and start doing the ranty, and particularly on days like today where I don't have any fucking notes to speak of other than my little, like, remember who fucking donates to the show because you forgot to do the supporter shout out last week, dipshit. It's a case of, yeah, they say things, and so it's percolating right at the forefront of my lobe right now. And John is not a fan of cancel culture as well. John has made himself very clear that he doesn't think these people should be losing their jobs over the horrific shit they're saying. And as I said, to an extent, I agree because, like everything else that the fucking left was doing before, and the right is now leaning into, it got fucking carried away. It became a case of, it really did, because I went back to the website and checked the list to say, well, let's see, because I again, if you call me out on something and I don't know 100% for certain that you might be right, or I might be right and you're wrong, I'm going to check. I do my due diligence. I don't just ranty, I must be right, you must be wrong. Because if I did that, I would be no better than the shitheads I talk about. So I did go look at the list, and it's definitely growing. I mean, it's like 50,000 fucking people right now. And now in the grand scheme of things, just based on U.S. population alone, it's not that much. And not even everybody on the list is domestically located. There are fucking Canadian people on there. There are people from Europe on there, all of whom are weighing in with their opinions on Charlie Kirk. And to be honest, some of the things that people are getting put on that list for are not things I think you should be losing your job over, because they're not the celebratory, like, yay, I'm glad he's dead. It's more like, I'm not going to mourn him. Nobody should get shot, but the guy was a dick. Well, that's your opinion, and you're welcome to it. And you're not doing a fucking TikTok dance because he's dead. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and go, yeah, you don't have to mourn him. You didn't have to like him. But, realistically, at the point of saying, well, I'm not going to mourn the guy. He was a dick. As long as you're not letting that spill over into, like, it's okay that he's dead, I'm glad he's dead. That's the point. And there's been people And it's a disturbing amount of people in that list are in healthcare and in education. Now, the healthcare and education segments, you don't want your kids raising the. I mean, I've talked about how I feel that education has gone in the shitter previously. I come from a family of educators. I have a lot of educators the current educators in my family that are not brain dead retards. But at the end of the day, the state of education in this country is fucking pathetic. So the it used to be a time where it was like teachers should have been well respected. Teachers should have been gotten more credit than they do. But the world is what it is. People were saying things like those who can do, those who can't teach, which is it's a thing. It's a saying, and it's shitty that people thought that way, but unfortunately it's become more and more true at this point because when you look at the vast majority of young people that are currently going into education, yeah, there's a few good ones. There's a whole lot of fucking also rans. There's a whole lot of people who they wouldn't be able to make it in the real world, and somehow being around children appealed to them in some weird sort of fucking way. But they don't want to have their own kids. They don't want to, procreate and increase the population. They just want to influence the direction and development of other people's kids because they're really passionate about the direction the country is going, just not passionate enough to be inconvenienced by, having to squeeze a kid out or whatever. And it's frustrating. Now, the other side of that is the medical industry, the healthcare industry. Now, I think in a lot of ways, COVID destroyed a lot of respect that people had inherently for doctors and nurses because, doctors and nurses are supposed to be there out there on the front lines. They're actively supposed to be the ones battling death, fighting to keep you alive, trying to bring you back from the brink when you fucking get into a car wreck or you have a fucking stroke because you live on an American diet and you're a fat fuck with high cholesterol and low activity and massive morbidities. But then you got doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals out there lauding and cheering someone they didn't agree with getting killed. That's really not the industry where you want somebody that's okay with the concept of someone dying over political beliefs practicing. Now, what if I were to be out somewhere and be in a MAGA hat and get in a bus wreck and I'm fucking, I'm the one guy on speed that got launched through the front window when the crash happened. Do I want to have some liberal retard doctor that thinks it's okay for conservative people to die being the one obligated to save my life? Do I trust that these fucking retards that are going to go out there and publicly state that they're okay with him dying because of the shit he said and the lies they believe about the kind of shit that the left likes to say he was fostering? It's people that automatically believe, oh, well, he must have been racist, which is utterly hypocritical. And there's tons of footage out there proving it, that he was the furthest thing from fucking racist. People that are out there saying, oh, well, he's a fucking chauvinist. He doesn't believe in women's rights because he believes in traditional values where if a woman chooses to do so, she should be able to stay home and raise the kids. Did he ever say women should and only should be allowed to be homemakers and only be in the house? Not fucking once. He said that the society we live in where it is no longer feasible for one of the parents to stay home and take care of the kids was horse shit. So, that obviously must make him a chauvinistic, bigoted asshole because he's got something against women and he's got something against people that aren't white, both of which are provably and categorically false. But you get these retards out here who should fucking know better. If you're a medical professional, you should have enough common sense to be able to do research and be able to figure shit out. You shouldn't be somebody who just parrots everything that the fucking yammering talking heads put in front of you. I don't want that guy being the one that's going to be saving my life if I get into an accident. I don't trust that person is going to uphold their Hippocratic oath if they think I don't fit their definition of people that deserve to live. And that's completely ignoring the whole, don't mark yourself an organ donor either because they're going to let you die to harvest your organs because that's big bucks and they got fucking student loans to pay. Okay, that's a conspiracy. I don't know that that's actually true, but I just know that I don't want to take that chance. I actually made this mistake when I was younger of listing myself as an organ donor, and I haven't been able to get the fucking state of Illinois to take it off of my license. because I was a smartass and I wrote specific organs and I just wrote I wrote fucking gizzards and gobbler because I'm a smartass, and yeah, it turned out to not be a smart idea in my. Oh, I think I actually listed nipples too. I wanted to donate my nipples and my gizzard and my anyway, this gobbler, this thing. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's gross. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. It just amused me to watch it in the camera. So anyway, yeah, that's going on, and it's been carrying on, and that's why, like I said, in this particular instance, I'm okay with people losing their jobs over this shit because there are certain fucking professions where that attitude is detrimental to society writ large. It's not a case of, well, no, everybody should be able to say what they want and believe what they want, and you can't take somebody's job because that's ridiculous. That's cancel culture. That's wrong. I'm sorry, John, but you're fucking missing the mark on this one. I don't want woke fucking doctors who think boys can be girls and girls can be boys, and anybody that believes in anything more conservative than fucking Hillary deserves to die for what they believe, being the one who holds my life in their fucking hands. It's just unacceptable. And oh no, by the way, Cody, I did take your camera down because looking at your armpits was bothering me. I'm sorry again in the chat. If you want to get in that particular chat, that is actually I've been, as long as I'm still paying for it. I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep paying for it. I may or may not. Depends on how these next couple of guest episodes go. But I do. If you're a member of the I had to say it community. I don't have a name for you guys yet. I don't have some shows get clever little names for their, we got the Boomer Bunker has the Bunker Dwellers, I don't know. I'm not real active in most podcast communities, so I don't know what most people call their fucking followers. Just your guys are my supporters. You're my people. You're part of the community. I don't have a name for y'all. I'm open to suggestions. Throw some shit in there. Drop me an email. Drop me a line. Tell me what you guys think I should be referring to you as, because otherwise I'm probably just going to stick with "Hey fuckers," because that's just me talking. But anyway, yeah. So Cody's in the Zoom chat, which, like I said, as long as I'm still paying for it, you guys are going to have access to it if you want to be able to talk to me. Or, like I said, you can talk in the chats on YouTube or X, because the Restream will show me those chats. There is a little bit of a lag there, though, whereas the Zoom does not have that lag. I see that real time. So, but that's also because there's a case. Okay, Bob, I kind of like that, but it's cumbersome to say. Bob suggested wrinkle brains as opposed to the smooth brain fucks, which happens to be, for some odd reason, one of the most popular things that has ever come out of my mouth on this show, because numerous people have found that weaseling their way into their day-to-day verbiage, and it just rolls off the tongue so smoothly. It's you smooth brain fucks. And it takes a second, and sometimes you get motherfuckers who don't get it. In that case, they're one of the smooth brainers, because it's the raconteurs. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. We'll gather some names from you guys, and I'll throw together a poll or something, and we'll vote on it, and then I'll just start calling you fuckers, whatever be popular. Yeah, Duchess did actually use smooth brain fucks on the Boomer Bunker tonight, and it's fun when it happens in context. But what's really going to be great for me is when I get like a text message at some point that goes, "I just said that in a normal conversation with normies, and it was completely out of left field and unprompted." That's when I know I got you. And I've had a couple people tell me they've caught themselves repeating shit that I use in regular conversations, and that makes me giggle. Because I like the idea of being a little bit insidious and being a little bit of a bad influence on you guys, because why the fuck not? So, anyway, yeah. So the issue I take, again, like I said, certain people. Yes, you did, Kate. I did hear that. I appreciate it. I was at the grocery store during the Boomer Bunker. They actually did a fun little thing where they had a kind of a call-in deal with Cody and Bob, and fortunately for everyone involved, I didn't try to hop in on that because I was at the grocery store, and the demographic at the particular store I was at, because it was on my way home from work, was not necessarily people that would be real receptive to hearing things about how liberals are fucking idiots. So Aaron's Karens, I kind of like that actually, but spelled care, Carens, which is Bob's addition to that statement. Uh, I like that. That's kind of, it's because we care. But anywho, yeah. So brain needs to reset here for a second, guys. Oh yeah, okay. So that covers that segment of things where yes, I do believe some of these motherfuckers should be losing their goddamn jobs. They do not. They're not in positions where their partisanship, horseshit, judgmental, self-righteous country is acceptable, and that's just the case. I mean, I'm sorry if you want to sit there and try and argue with me that it. Again, this goes back to what I was saying before. Holding that moral high ground, or that, this is why we don't do that, because that's what the other side does. Well, the other side's been much more effective in the fight recently, so. That's why they're gaming us today in Chicago. Huh? Anyway, yeah, so there are, like I said, there are certain positions where that ideology is literally dangerous to everyone, and it should not be the case. So I'm not going to be apologetic for like doctors being put on leave or nurses being told to fucking kick rocks because they said it was okay to let people die. Okay, that was a typo. It said they're gassing us in Chicago today. Yeah, the air quality here is for shit this week. I can't breathe. I'm all stuffy. I don't know if you can hear the congestion or not. Yeah, it's been rough. But now speaking of Chicago, this is going to kind of tie into the last little bit of what I'm going to say here before this gets too fucking long, because I believe we're already at 45 minutes, which some of it may have been incoherent ranting and babbling, but that's not a bad length of time for an episode. But the last thing I want to kind of touch on is the final kind of segment, or the final piece of the way this whole shit show has been going on with Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. And it was an assassination. It was politically motivated. It was a case of, yes, he was killed for his beliefs by a coward. And yeah, so it was an assassination. But now, the thing about that is, it has led to a case of the leaders on the left telling us that they, this politically violent rhetoric needs to be dialed back. The same fuckwaffles who have spent the last decade comparing everybody they don't like to people that are literally the most abhorrent, horrific, genocidal, violent motherfuckers on the planet by calling everyone fascists and Nazis, both of which are actually founded in left-wing ideals, if we're going to be technical. Benito Mussolini was a fucking Marxist before he founded the fascist party. So historically accurate statements really don't go real well about leftist beliefs. It's more just, well, no, it's different. No, it's not. Fascism is a leftist ideology. Fascism is putting all of your eggs in the fucking government basket. So anytime you refer to somebody who wants less government as a fascist, you're a fucking retard. But yeah, all this rhetoric that dehumanizes people, that makes them think you are less than, makes them think that your beliefs, your stances, and your values make you in some way, shape, or form an imminent threat to them, despite all evidence to the contrary. Despite the fucking retards on X this morning who are telling me that, well, they're already setting up camps and they're going to, when it goes from lists to fucking train cars. And it's like, no, you fucking retard. The train cars aren't going to happen. The list is not going to lead to camps because the camps are for fucking illegals. Now, it's, okay, Cody just brought up a valid point. People don't listen to him when he says the Groypers and the leftists say the same shit until you get to who should be in charge. It's not wrong. Groypers, for those of you who don't know, are fucking right-wing extremist fuckwaffles who listen to Nick Fuentes, who is an absolute douche canoe. He's in Illinois here. I didn't realize that because I never gave two nickel-plated fucks about him until he got assaulted at his home. And frankly, yeah, he's a fuck stain. He is the epitome of what I will badmouth about right-wing people. He is a fucking idiot. His followers are idiots. His supporters are idiots. Some dumb motherfucker today floated him as a potential replacement for Charlie Kirk, which will be the cold day in hell when that worthless sack of shit is fucking anywhere on the same level. So, now I got fucking chat. Anyway, so yeah, the whole thing though, we've got all these political left-wing figures, and I mean politicians, not political, like people that are politically motivated, people that are speaking on political matters like myself. I mean the actual elected shit stains in office, in DC, at a state level. Everybody coming out talking about, oh, we got to dial back this rhetoric. This is political violence. You're threatening political violence by going after these people's job. It's political violence. And it's these fucking morons, the same ones who have spent the last, 8 to 10 years dehumanizing anybody on the right, dehumanizing anybody who doesn't agree with them, mocking people that are centrist and don't want to be affiliated with the right, but still think the leftists are assholes like myself. And they constantly keep saying this shit. And then one of their people acts out in violence, and it's not like this is the first fucking time. The general violence, and they're so quick to try and paint it with a brush. Oh, well, most of the fucking gun violence in this country is performed by white males. Yeah, if you look at like spun statistics, that may be the case. But if you're looking at actual facts, because, the statistics they like to point to discount things like gang violence, which is the vast majority of actual killings in this country. And discounts like, the last several mass shooters have all been chemically altered, confused motherfuckers who think they're something they aren't. Nobody wants to talk about how this could be tied directly into SSRIs or taking non-gender appropriate hormones. When you start fucking with your brain chemistry fucks back. Now you couple that with a fucking belief structure that doesn't really place any value on life if it doesn't completely align with your ideals. A belief structure that cheapens human existence down to fucking nothing, whether it's a loss through faith. I mean, and again, I don't like going into religion because I'm not particularly religious, as I keep saying. I believe religion is of man. I believe, spirituality comes of God. Faith is a good thing for everyone to have. When religion and politics get into the same cart, it's a bad fucking combination. But again, I digress. We have all these fucking assholes. And Bob, you're right. I said the same thing. I said it's really kind of sad that the only Democrat that speaks with an iota of common sense these days is the one that had a fucking stroke. So it's the truth though. If you listen to Fetterman, he's actually the closest thing to the kind of Democrat I used to identify as that's left on the fucking market today. He's actually got some common sense. He knows that his party has gone completely fucking off the rails, and he's not afraid to say it. So, good for you, Lurch. I'm glad they gave you your hoodie back. You've earned it. But yeah, no, all the rest of these yammering fuck stains, whether it's Ilhan Omar or any of the fucking squad. Oddly, I haven't seen anything from AOC, but I think I might have actually muted her as a keyword, like anything that says AOC in it. It's like, fuck off. I don't need to hear this shit, because I got tired of her and Bernie choking up my fucking feed on all my social media while they were doing their little fucking grifter 2025 stage. But yeah, these fucking morons, and every politician's out there, and you've got like fucking, Jason Crow and all these other leftist retards that are out there trying to say, oh, well, violence is never the answer, and this is wrong, and it's coming from the White House that's calling for the political violence. The White House, yeah, again, everybody knows I'm not a big, hey, Donald Trump is golden Jesus, and I love that, crusty Cheeto dusted motherfucker. Everything he says is infallible. No, I'm real quick to say when I think he's being a fucking retard. Sometimes he's a troll. Sometimes I think he's actually a fucking yutz. Oh yeah, good point, Bob. AOC always comes back to we need common sense gun legislation. There was not a single fucking law out of the 20,000 that's already on the books that would have stopped what happened. It's just another case to try and disarm the population, so the only people that have the guns are them. And that's when the real fascism starts. But, yeah, so we've got all these yammering political talking heads sitting there. Oh, well, it's time to be unifying and the White House is just being divisive. You motherfuckers have been divisive for the last decade. The last president, Sleepy fucking Joe, the installed fucking puppet, was actively calling half of the country a threat to democracy by saying anybody that believed in MAGA, anybody that voted Republican, anybody that voted conservative, anybody that held conservative values or beliefs was a threat to fucking democracy. You don't get to start trying to play the we need to be unified card right now. And anybody who's claiming to be a conservative or a right-leaning individual that's sitting there going, well, no, we should make peace with these people. You're a fucking retard too, because you can't, there is a fundamental divide with people who view you as subhuman for what you think. People that don't value your existence or your life are not going to make peace with you. If they're hugging you, it's because they're looking for a place to jam the fucking knife, because at the end of the day, they fundamentally believe your existence is the key to every piece of misery in their worthless, empty, vapid, depraved little lives. Yes. And now, Bob, you're right. That's a wonderful idea. Instead of bitching about the guns, they should just make it illegal to kill people. Why didn't they think of that? Yeah. And, Hassan Piker, who Cody brought up, if you're not familiar with him, you're fortunate. The guy's a fucking stroke. He is literally, he's a Twitch streamer. He's got millions of followers. He is constantly just spouting this violent rhetoric. Conservative blood should fill the streets of New York and shit like that. Just utter garbage human being and complete fucking hypocrite on top of it. He's a piece of shit. He should die. Bob brings up another valid point. After Juicy Smoulier in Chicago here, my neck of the woods, yeah, they made lynching more illegal. Good job. Way to go, Dems. That's not performative horse shit at all. That was a very realistic and valid take. That was a really good idea. Make a lynching illegal again. Because, it being illegal once just wasn't enough. You had to really hammer that fucking point home. Good job, you super effective motherfuckers. Now, this brings me to the denouement of today, the peak, the end of the conversation, because it's getting late and Aaron has to get up at 4 o'clock in the fucking morning tomorrow. My worthless, bloated, pasty, jelly-stuffed fuck muppet governor, J.B. Pritzker, the fat fuck with aspirations of grandeur and delusions of value, because this worthless sack of dick who has spent his entire political career grandstanding for criminals, illegals, and trannies, the guy who realistically has been spouting constant comparisons between conservatives and Nazis for at least the last year and a half, probably further back. I don't remember him being quite as vocal with that horse shit prior to the last election cycle. That's when he really started ramping up his rhetoric to basically be a utter fucking tool bag. And he got called out for it. People were saying, you're guilty of this rhetoric, JB. You're constantly comparing conservatives to fucking Nazis. You are making those illusions. And he got up today in a press conference and was like, I have never said that conservatives are Nazis. I've never spouted violent rhetoric towards conservatives. I've never said any of these things. No, you made the comparisons between Donald Trump and Hitler. You made the comparison between conservatives and Nazis on multiple occasions. You've made the comparison that people who have conservative values are, out there, and you're going to put trans people in concentration camps or deprogramming camps. They are going to sit there and they're trying to deport people that are here illegally, and that makes them fucking evil because they don't want their money and their tax dollars going to support people who couldn't be bothered to come into the country the proper fucking way and are getting here, getting benefits that we're all being told they're not receiving, living off of our fucking dollars while we bear these obscene tax burdens. Illinois has the high, I keep saying it, and despite all the fucking competition for worst governor in the fucking country, I mean, Gavin Newsom's no fucking slouch. Kathy Hochul's a fucking cunt. You got that worthless bitch in Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, but I'm sorry, people. We still have the fucking golden trophy on this point. We still have the worst fucking governor in the country. We bear the highest individual tax burden. We have the fucking most worthless fucking. We're in the literally the top 5 for every negative metric in the fucking country. But at the end of the day, this bullshit moron just gets up and just spouts his nonsense. He's gonna, if you come for his people, he's gonna get in the way. The only one that anybody's coming for are criminals and illegals. That tells you everything you need to know about that worthless sack of fucking tits, and I hate his fucking guts. But I'm gonna tell you something here, and this is a little personal thing. As much as I stand behind the whole, I spent months challenging his social media intern to pass the information along that I wanted to fight him for a charity. 3 rounds, bare knuckle boxing, 2 minutes per round. It's a fair fight. We're both fat fucks. I will still do it. If this somehow wound up in front of that fat fuck and said, hey, this guy wants to fight you for charity. And somebody called me up like, hey, the fuck Muppet's going to take you up on it, but you got to stop calling him a fuck Muppet if he wins. Dude, I will throw down in a fucking heartbeat. I will beat the brakes off of that worthless son of a bitch. And if through some odd thing they somehow turn his soft, pasty little hands into something that I need to worry about catching, I will eat my fucking crow knowing that he's going to come out of it knowing he was in a fucking fight regardless. It's never going to happen. It's a pipe dream. It's my pipe dream. But here's the thing. As much as I hate him, as much as I consider him a loathsome, disgusting waste of fucking flesh, if he dropped dead today, if I turned off this recording and saw on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, that he went tits up choking on a fucking cannoli on the fucking north side in the middle of Boys Town with a cannoli in one hand and a cock in his ass, I'm not going to celebrate it. I'm not going to be like, yay, he's dead. Ding dong, the dipshit's dead. I'm not going to be out there going, well, you know what? He fucking deserved it because he's a miserable piece of shit and this is fucking karma. I'm going to go, well, I didn't like him. Oh, well. I'm not going to mourn him, but I'm not going to fucking be out there making a big goddamn, oh, his family's following him, Bob. I could break the money down for you, no problem. But yeah, I'm not going to be out there, posting a TikTok like, yay, he's fucking gone. Jesus smote him. Again, it's a fucking shitty thing to do. I mean, it's not, I detest him on a personal level. I think he's a failure as a fucking human being. I think he's a contemptible sack of shit. But I'm not going to be like, yay, he's dead. My life is somehow better now. Because it's him dropping dead tomorrow isn't going to change my day. I still got to get up and go to fucking work. I'm still going to have to pay a stupid ass tax burden because his lieutenant governor's a fucking idiot and she's just going to take over and keep kicking that can along. One individual person dying outside of my immediate circle is not going to impact me in any way, shape, or fucking form where I'm going to all of a sudden get up and start dancing a fucking jig. And I'm a miserable human being. I'm an asshole. I don't have, the case of like empathy. I am not an empathetic person in a lot of ways. I used to be. I used to really like people. I used to care about people being happy and healthy and well off. And to a certain aspect, I suppose I really still do. My mom, God bless her soul, seems to think I actually really like people at the end of the day. And the reason I get so worked up about these things and the reason I'm such an angry fucking man is because I have these high expectations of people and I am constantly fucking disappointed when they do shitty things and treat each other badly. And it's realistically the case of my ideals of what we should be are constantly being disappointed. And that makes me into the angry, bitter fucking prick I am. So, that being said, it's the case. And yes, Kate, you're right. They'll just replace him with another fucking idiot. Now, to what I was saying when Bob said follow the money, he's heir to the Hilton fortune. His family has money. He's a fucking retard, and they're all well aware of it. His case of winding up in politics was they know he's an idiot and they don't want him fucking up the family coin. So they said, here, we're going to fund this race. You're going to get into office and you're going to rubber stamp every fucking NGO we put in front of you, and we are going to rob the taxpayers of Illinois fucking blind. The Pritzker family has, I believe it's 63 or 64 fucking NGOs that are currently funded by Illinois taxpayer dollars. If you're telling me that's not a grift and they're not scamming off of that, I've got a fucking bridge in Arizona to sell you. It's fucking ridiculous. And yeah, Cody, I fully understand that empathy is understanding people's feelings. And I agree. People could be sympathetic. I'm not a sympathetic person. Kate, I really am an empath. I understand feelings and experience them. It's just, I've gotten so jaded and fucking bitter because of those experiences and those feelings where I wanted to turn it all off, where I actively turned into the hateful, spiteful demon that I am these days. I used to be a really sensitive and caring individual who always put other people's feelings at the head of my concerns, to the detriment of my own health, my own well-being, and my own fucking financials. I would be one of those people if I saw, if I saw a kid get hurt, I would rush over and I would be crying because the kid got hurt. And then I fucking, like I said, I got old, I got bitter, and I got fucking jaded. So, all right, hang on a minute here. Maybe Cody, maybe in the 80s when I was growing up, and now it's just a bud word used by lefty cucks to excuse their behavior. Well, yeah, that's actually fairly true. Yeah, it is what it is. There's an emotional toll that goes on certain things. And like I said, at some point I made the conscious choice to fucking learn how to turn it off. I can be cold. I can be callous. I can be ruthless. You want to hear a fun one? One of the biggest things that actually pushed me over the fucking edge when I was like teetering on the brink of still being a halfway caring human being was there was a homeless guy that was, standing outside the place I was working at the time, begging, shaking his cup of change in people's faces. And I happened to need a dishwasher. A coincidental thing. This guy was like, anything helps. I haven't eaten in days. Please help me. Some stupid ass cardboard sign. He was harassing all the late teen, early 20 somethings that were in the area. And they're young and they're, oh, here, give him some change. Here, I want to help him. Here, I want to give him this. I want to give him that. And I said, you know what? I'm feeling some kind of way today, bro. I'm going to help you turn your life around. I can push your paperwork through, and I'm going to give you a job. I know it's hard to get a job when you're homeless and you're you look kind of rough, but we have access to a locker room. You can take a shower. You can get cleaned up. I'll give you a clean uniform. I will get your paperwork processed. We'll get you into a shelter so we can oversee the fucking necessity for an address. And, yeah, I'm going to do this because I feel like paying it forward and helping out somebody that's down on his luck. And this motherfucker cussed me out and told me if I wasn't give him money to fuck off because I was scaring off the fish. So, yeah, that was probably the last shred of my empathy towards my fellow man, my sympathy for their feelings, my identifying with how they must be down on their luck, because apparently my radar was way the fuck off. Because I thought this guy was feeling some kind of way. He looked fucking downcast and beaten down by life. And when I tried to offer him a hand up, he threw it back in my face. And that pretty much was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was where my empathy fucking died. And, it's, it's rough. It's kind of a sad state of affairs. Sometimes I actually get kind of nostalgic for when I still cared about other people's feelings. When I still, thought people were fundamentally good and could be trusted and not a bunch of manipulative shit stains that I could do or with or without. No, not you guys. Of course, you guys are special. You guys are the exception. You're wonderful because you're here listening to me. So you guys are obviously smarter and better looking and way more fun to be around than your average people. But anyway, that is pretty much all I got for today. I'm going to stick a pin in it at this point. We're looking at it probably about an hour after I cut out the the opening title song thing because I don't put that up on the. That's my like Aaron's loading the live stream music. I'm gonna still go with the standard thing. But yeah, so I guess for now that's what I had to say. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight, guys.